Hey folks, I hope you are enjoying your spring break so far. I just wanted to poke in for a moment just to go over the means by which we are going to be doing our online classes coming up soon. And so just wanted to go over some of the tools we were going to use, most of which you are familiar with, as well as talk a little bit about the difference between synchronous and asynchronous learning, because that will play a role in what we are doing. Okay, first, what are we going to be using for tools? Well, obviously, we're going to be focusing primarily on Canvas. The nice thing about our LMS, our learning management system, is that it already has a bunch of tools built into it that are perfect for online learning. In fact, Canvas is used at a variety of schools for purely online classes, including Franklin Pierce. And so the tools pretty much exist here already. So regardless of whatever class you're in, we'll be able to do that. Now, the main thing that is getting replaced is that instead of the in-person lectures and demonstrations and discussions, we will instead be relying heavily on the announcements section of your class. And here I'll be posting weekly announcements, which are going to take the place of these sort of lectures and demonstrations. They will be in a variety of formats, most specifically this one we're doing right here, which is a screencast-o-matic video, in which case I'm sort of capturing everything I'm doing on the screen here. So we'll be doing a lot of that, similar to what I do in class, where I have things up on the screen and then sort of talk around it, but it'll be presented here in this format. Those will be embedded into announcements. Same thing with demonstrations on any other software, like any of the Adobe products or any of the online tools that we might use. And if there's any sort of reading or files or whatnot, most of which will probably already be living in our files section, they will also be linked directly through the announcements. Now, there will definitely be at least one per week per class, but there might also be two per week per class. It really depends on what we're covering. And similarly, the amount would be the same as if I was doing it in person. So keep an eye out for multiples. Make sure your alerts are turned on Canvas so that you know when new ones are posted. All right, so that's our primary tool for getting across information. Also, we might be using the discussion forum a bit, which would give us an opportunity to have some back and forth talking about a particular subject, similar to what we might do in class, but obviously more in a structured environment as opposed to sort of an open-ended discussion. We'll see. I will only be using discussions if it is really relevant to the conversation that week. I won't be coming up with the discussions just for the sake of filling time. You guys have lots of other work to be doing. The other thing we might be using for being all online at the same time, and we'll get back to the difference between synchronous and asynchronous learning in a moment, is the conferences feature in Canvas, which is down the bottom of the menu list. Now what conferences does, it allows you to set up, as it states, a conference using this third-party software called Big Blue Button, which basically creates sort of like a web meeting, as it were, where everybody can get online at the same time. People will have invitations to it, which, as you can see, I can set up here, which I will then send out to everybody, and then we all log in at the same time and go over something. Now, again, similar to the discussions, I will certainly not be creating conferences just to fill time, only if it's really important. Now, you might be thinking that critiques of final work would be great for conferences, but for that, I might actually use discussions and simply post work and then let people give their feedback in a more passive way as opposed to having to be online at the same time. That can certainly be difficult. But either way, I'll think about what works best for each situation, and then we'll go from there. And then the last tool that you guys would be using if you have group projects, which a number of my classes do, is under our school mail, which is here in Outlook through Office 365. Once you're logged into your school mail, in the upper left corner here is this little grid pattern with a collection of all the available Office 365 tools. Many of them have collaborative ability in which you can set up a document and then invite people to share it, but probably the easiest way to collaborate is to go to your OneDrive and then set up a new folder and then name it whatever you would like, stuff, hit create, and then once that folder is created, you can hit the share sheet down here and then invite anybody you want to collaborate on it, the people on your team or whatnot. The nice thing is because Office 365 is linked in through our Franklin Pierce account, all you gotta do is start typing people's names and it will find them. And then you can add them to the list, you can add a little message and then send it along. So if there's any collaborative projects, any teamwork that still needs to get done, you guys can do it that way. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the difference between synchronous and asynchronous learning. So all it really means is that synchronous learning, whether it's being done online or in person, simply means that we are all covering the same material, learning the same stuff at the same time. So we are synchronized with each other, like synchronized swimming, but without being upside down in water. So asynchronous learning is more common in online environments, meaning that the content is available to everybody, but not everybody has to be online at the same time. Now, things that generally remain the same are deadlines and when things are due, and they have to be submitted to Canvas. Those generally stay roughly the same, so everybody has to get their work in at the same time. But when you do it, how you do it, when you read the material, how you read the material is entirely up to you. And the reason why asynchronous learning is popular in online learning is because generally in online schools, students are from all over the place. I've taught online classes at other schools, and I have people in different countries all around the world, and so it's very difficult to get people online at the same time simply due to the time zone differences. Now, we don't necessarily have that problem, but even so, it's a bit of a burden to expect everybody to be online at the same time. So we're going to mostly or almost 100% be working in an asynchronous area. So just so you know, you don't have to worry about that as long as the work gets done by the due dates. And I might shuffle around some of the due dates in our assignments section of class just to accommodate sort of our slightly pushed back schedule because of the coronavirus. But regardless, whatever due dates you see in Canvas will remain the same. And then, of course, our last tool for being in communication with each other is the same tool that I use all the time, which is email. If you need to communicate with me, want to go over anything, have questions, thoughts, concerns, whatever, certainly email me. I'm really good at getting back an email. If for some reason you feel as though a face-to-face conversation, or at least a virtual face-to-face conversation, is really important and needs to be done, I am happy to do that, and we can set that up via Skype or Zoom or even FaceTime, whatever technology you have that works best. So certainly keep that in mind as a possibility if you need to talk sort of face to digital face. All right, so I hope this covers all those basic bases, and we will be rolling in about a week. So for now, continue enjoying your break, and I'll talk to you later.